We're now well into July, and I'm a little late coming out with my matches of the month for June. But what we are going to be doing is going through some of the major companies in pro wrestling and looking at the best must see match that if you haven't seen it, you have to go out of your way to see. In the past, I've been focusing on four companies: WWE, AEW, New Japan, and TNA. I'm going to be keeping the first three while ditching TNA because I haven't really been keeping up with TNA as much. Their product hasn't really been great. Some of the people who I've really stuck around for, like Josh Alexander and Jordan Grace, no longer with the company. So I just really haven't been keeping up with it as much. But what I'm going to be replacing it with is sort of a best of the rest category where I throw one match in there, not from either of the three big companies, WWE, AEW, or New Japan, to highlight some of the other wrestling that exists out there. If you guys are a fan of this video, please leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, as it really does help a new channel like mine to grow. But with all that being said, I am Isaiah from Hot Tag Wrestling, and let's get started by talking about our WWE match of the month. Starting with WWE, there really wasn't a lot of competition for what was going to come into this slot. There were some good TV matches this month. Jey Uso actually had a really good month. His World Heavyweight title match where he lost to Gunther on Raw was really strong. His match in the King of the Ring tournament with Cody was very good. But we're not talking about Jey Uso in this video. We're looking at our Money in the Bank pay-per-view. A pay-per-view that I felt consisted of one really weak ladder match in the women's match and one that went overly long and couldn't really live up to the hype in the men's match. So as a result, we're not talking about either of the ladder matches. We're talking about the Women's Intercontinental Championship match, Becky Lynch versus Lyra Valkyria. I thought this match was phenomenal. I thought it was better than their first match. I seem to be like the low guy on their first match and the high guy on their second match because I feel like they really did a fantastic job about incorporating the story beats from before and how much hatred existed between the two women, especially Lyra to Becky. The match was really hard hitting, consisted of a lot of more brawling style versus the flashy moves of the first one. The first one was much more of a traditional wrestling match, and this one felt more like a slugfest between two people who really hated each other. And I think that Becky winning the title was the right decision. And they were able to sort of build to that finish a little bit better, whereas the first match was a shock Lyra win. So they were just able to structure the match a lot better and have really a conclusive finish that really drew fans in because they didn't have to blindside them and sort of sweep the rug out from under them. Not saying that them doing that with Lyra is a bad thing, of course. I really love this match. It's one of my favorite WWE women's matches of the year. I think the feud between Lyra and Becky, and eventually later in the month Bayley, has been one of the best things in WWE this year. Probably the best WWE feud of the year. The only thing I can really think can hold a candle would be the Punk Rollins Roman thing leading up to WrestleMania, but I do think this surpasses it. And we've had two really great matches so far in this feud. I hope the triple threat at Evolution can live up to this standard because Lyra versus Becky at Money in the Bank was absolutely fantastic. Next, we are jumping over to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and there were really three matches that were in contention for this spot. Three matches that were getting a lot of praise online this month. It started out with the Best of the Super Juniors final where Kosei Fujita beat Yo in probably a 30-minute match. Definitely a standout match in my mind in both of those guys' careers. The best match I've seen either of them have, probably because it went long and it was given the real, the heavy atmosphere of being the finals of the tournament. But that's not what I'm going to give the selection to. A little bit later in the middle of the month, we had the Despe Payne Invitational, similar to the Invitational tournament he did last year, where in the main event for the junior heavyweight title, he faced Jun Kasai, and I don't even know what the stipulation was, like a light tube, thousands of them death match or something like that. It was a lot of fun. Death matches for me are really hard to get right, and I don't feel like they 100% got there for me. It was a phenomenal, great match in the deathmatch format, but I'm not the biggest guy on him, so that's not my pick for the month. We're actually going towards the end of the month in a match that for me was a little difficult to find because it was only broadcast on Japanese TV. It's not available on New Japan World. That is the main event of Tanahashi Jam, Zack Sabre Jr. versus Hiroki Goto for the New Japan Heavyweight Championship. It might not actually have been the main event now that I say that, but regardless, Zack Sabre Jr. and Hiroki Goto have fantastic matches together. Their match at the New Beginning earlier this year, where Goto won the title from Zack, was easily a 5-star match in my mind. One of my favorite matches of the year. They had a match at a strong show. It might have been Resurgence this year that wasn't quite as good. It was still a really, really good match, but I think it had a little bit of a wonky finish that threw it off. And that led us to this match at Tanahashi Jam, where Zack was challenging again for the title he lost earlier in the year, and they did a fantastic job recapturing the magic from the New Beginning show. Now, obviously, you can't entirely recapture it because that sort of lightning in the bottle moment of Hiroki Goto finally winning the big one and becoming the top champion in New Japan. You can't really recreate that, but the work and the crowd and everything here just really seemed to come together. Now, I don't think it's as good as their first match because Hiroki Goto injured his elbow during this match, and I think you saw that play out a little bit towards the end where there was this long period where he was sort of lying down on the mat and the ref was checking on him, and it went for like too long. It's weird to say that his legitimate injury went too long in the match, but it just sort of it jumped in right when the action was at its highest point and pulled it back a little bit. Didn't completely derail it. They pulled it back at the end when Zack got the win, but it made it a little bit sketchy at the end. If that injury hadn't happened, I'm sure we would be dealing with another 5-star match on our hands. So Zack winning the title, great thing to see. Hiroki getting injured, absolutely devastating, horrible, horrible to see that, especially coming up into G1 season. I hope he recovers as quickly as possible because he was absolutely phenomenal in this championship run, and we want to see more Goto on our TV ASAP. But if you haven't seen their trilogy of matches, go out and watch it. New Beginning, New Japan Resurgence, and most recently, the match of this month, Tanahashi Jam. Before we get to AEW, I want to look at the greater world of pro wrestling. Look at a match from one of the companies that I don't normally watch that was really, really great this year and really made me sit back and say, wow. And we're staying in Japan, but we're going over to Stardom, where we're looking at Sareee versus Shuri from Stardom The Conversion. And I love this match. I had already watched their match from the Sareeism earlier this year. I've really been a fan of Sareee this year. I've never seen one of her matches before this year, but she had a really good match with Venny earlier this year, a great match with Mako Satomura, a really good match with Shuri, and then followed it up with this incredible match as well. I can't really decide which one of their two matches this year I like the most because the settings for them have been very different. Stylistically, very, very similar. Really, really hard hitting, fluent action, great transitions, like all the buzzwords that you can associate with phenomenal pro wrestling they have in here. And it's wrestled in a Joshi style. So you're seeing these two women just tear each other apart. Hard suplexes, brutal strikes, and these seem to be, I don't want to act like I am an expert on Stardom Joshi Wrestling. I'm very much just getting into Stardom now. But it seems like these are two of the best at it. Two of the people who can most expertly integrate a real sports feel into their action. When they wrestled earlier this year at Sareeism, the crowd was a little bit quieter and it was a little bit more subdued, but in a good way. It really allowed you to hear the strikes and hear the impacts of the moves. This took place in a much bigger setting with not really a boisterous crowd because it is a Japanese crowd, but the moves got a lot more excitement from the crowd, and the pops were bigger, and it felt like a bigger spectacle of a match, which it is. It was on a bigger stage for a title this time, and the two really leveled up to the position they were put in. And I thought it was an absolutely phenomenal match. This, alongside with the All Star Grand Queendom, which I also watched this month, really has made me consider going full on into Stardom and making it the fourth promotion that I regularly follow. Used to be TNA, ditch that. We might be seeing Stardom as a regular participant in the matches of the month going forward if they can continue to replicate things like Sari versus Shuri. We're going to finish off with AEW. AEW normally has the most quantity of great matches in any given month because that is generally what they focus on a lot with their TV product, especially. So we're not just getting great stuff from their pay per views. But this month it was a blow and away winner. They had Grand Slam Mexico, which was a lot of fun. Didn't really have any blow away incredible matches on it, but the crowd really elevated a lot. But we're not looking at Grand Slam Mexico. We're looking about a week or two before that for Summer Blockbuster, where we are talking Swerve Strickland versus Will Ospreay 2. A match that I feel probably surpassed their first match. Maybe not. It's a tough call. They've both been fantastic matches, with things that I really didn't like about the finish. So they faced, must have been Forbidden Door last year in the main event. Hated the finish because it comprised of Will Ospreay almost stabbing Prince Nana with a screwdriver and then doing some melodramatic looking at his hands. What kind of man have I become since I've been aligned with Don Callis? Just some really lame melodramatic shtick. And then in this match, we also had a bad finish, not because it's a time limit draw. Time limit draws can be really effective and really great. One of the greatest matches of all time, Omega versus Okada 2, was a time limit draw and did not suffer as a result of that, but actually had its story enhanced because of that. The reason I think this finish was not particularly great is because AEW always does a terrible job about informing the crowd and informing the TV audience of the time limit coming up. When you look at other companies that have time limits like Stardom or like Japan, New Japan, they're always announcing how much time has gone by and how much time is left. They just don't do that in AEW. So you have no idea how much time is left. The fans during this match really seem to have the wind taken out of them as a result of sort of the abrupt finish. And I'm really dumping on the finish right now. And this is supposed to be the best match of the month. So how can it be that if I'm saying the finish was so bad? Well, everything else was incredible. These two are easily two of the best workers in AEW, two of the best workers in the world right now. And not only that, they have such great defined characters that they are able to effectively convey throughout the body of the match. More so than their match last year. I feel like they have more ingrained, defined characters. Will Ospreay does, at least, maybe not so much with Swerve Strickland since he's not the champ anymore. But it really felt like I wasn't watching a pro wrestling match and I was just watching two real people have this combat sports exhibition. And in there, they incorporated so many great spots. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many. I couldn't go into some of the spots because they're awesome. But I do remember there was one spot in this match where Will Ospreay, probably like 8 or 10 minutes into this 30-minute match, busted out a hidden blade out of absolutely nowhere and just took Strickland's head off with it. And that's just sort of like a microcosm of the match. Everything looked impactful. Everything was so well sequenced and well executed. It is just a phenomenal match and a really fun match too. Just a match that you can really get lost in and really enjoy. And you don't get that so much anymore in professional wrestling. A lot of the matches that you are seeing, you can't really go full force in because maybe they're not worked as well as they could be, like this match is, or maybe they're a little bit generic, like a lot of stuff we see from AEW, especially some of the, the really great matches that you have to sit back and go, yeah, it was very well worked, but I'm not emotionally invested in it at all, like you see on Collision. This match blew all of those out of the water. So much fun with two characters who really are the centerpiece of this AEW world. You couldn't ask for much better from this match, except for AEW to get a little bit better about showing the crowd the finish, showing the crowd the time limit as it is coming up. But one minor critique at the end of an absolutely fantastic bout. And those are my 4 matches of the month for June 2025. Go out of your way to see them if you haven't. And once you do, let me know down in the comments below what you thought of them. Do you agree with me that these are 4 of the best matches from the month? Or was there something I completely missed out on? Was there a WWE, AEW, or New Japan match that you feel should have gotten more love from me and the spot in this video? And while you're down there, please leave a like, leave a subscribe, as it really does help a new channel like mine to grow. With all that being said, I want to thank you guys very, very much for watching this video. I've taken a little break from making videos for a little while because in a little bit of a transitional period in my life, but I'm going to try to get back on the horse, really start pumping out some videos for you guys. So please stay tuned. And as always, I really want to thank you for watching. But with all that being said, I have been Isaiah from Hot Tag Wrestling, and I will see you guys next time.